This is the grave of the biggest engineering project ever attempted in Europe. The Channel Tunnel is dead, killed off on January the 20th by the government, which was not prepared to underwrite the astronomical cost. But here beneath the white cliffs of Dover, where an army of men had been building the first stages of the tunnel, you would hardly think it had been abandoned. New machinery is still coming in. But what have the tunnellers themselves been up to since the project was given the death sentence?
Well, as a matter of fact, they're building the Channel Tunnel. The government killed the project a month ago, but since then, this place has been a hive of frantic activity. Our engineers on the British side have been busy burrowing their way under the cliffs, under the seabed, heading out towards France, whereas on the French side, their project has come to a permanent halt.
Down here, 200 feet underground, things are very much alive. Men are working flat out in 12-hour shifts, tunnelling their way to France. So how can the project be dead? Is this a real underground movement defying the government's wishes? Are they burrowing to the continent in secret? Well, ironically, it's been done with government approval, and it's costing the taxpayer a fortune. This machine caused it. The mole was created to build the tunnel, and it took 3 months to install it underground. Remarkably, on the very day the government announced it was killing the project, the mole was installed and ready to start digging its way to France, and it's been in action ever since.
Well, this is the mole, the giant £500,000 excavating machine designed and built in Britain, the tunnel from the British side under the English Channel. We're at the cutting face at the moment, and incidentally the machine not only digs, it also lines the tunnel itself with concrete. In the 2 weeks since it's been operating, it's travelled about 20 yards at a rate of 4 to 5 yards a day, although they hope that it'll build up to a peak of about 15 yards a day. Now, the government's given the engineers permission to go only about 100 yards at a cost of £150,000. So unless more money is allocated, then these men, the tunnellers, will have to leave, the project will end, and the mole, the machine itself, will become a big underground monument to one of the boldest, if costliest, engineering projects in British history.
But what is the point of tunnelling at all if the tunnel itself is dead? Hamish Smith is the resident manager of the company building it.
To find out if it worked as well and at the speeds that had been predicted.
Now, this machine is built specifically for the Channel Tunnel. So the only expertise one is really getting from it is how to build the Channel Tunnel, isn't it?
Yes, I think it's correct to say that the basic information from here will be primarily for future channel tunnellers.
You're a tunneller. I mean, is it frustrating to you, after all the work and all the time that it's taken, to actually have the stuff there, to be heading out towards France, and only to be allowed to go, what, 200 metres?
Well, I would say that after 4 years of hard work on this, that's been put in by everybody, for me personally, it's more than frustrating, it's a bitter disappointment.
Yeah. Only to get us
yes,
200 metres?
Yes, a few hundred metres. It's dreadful.
Do you have an urge inside you to want to actually, you know, head out towards the French coast?
That's always there, yes.
Here one can feel the frustration of the whole affair among the tunnellers themselves, who thought they'd be the first generation of British engineers to complete a project which has haunted the drawing boards of tunnellers for well over a century. A tunneller is a particular kind of animal. Like the men who build bridges, the sheer immensity of projects like this attract adventurous, highly skilled and hard-working men. And of all tunnels, this was the biggie, the tunnel to end them all. Now their project is dead, and within a few months they'll have to find other employment.
We're all very disappointed after the hard work we put into it up until they cancelled it, but now we're working, digging, we're all a lot happier, right?
Everyone's putting so much work on the project, now we want to see it, you know, moving.
Yeah. What were your feelings when you heard the project was cancelled?
Sick. Oh, you're sick, really, you know. Because there's been a hell of a lot of work gone into this, hell of a lot, you know.
How much work, actually?
Well, when you work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, you know, it's a lot of hours and a lot of work.
Yeah. Was this particular project to you, was it the big one, you know?
Well, this is history, isn't it? Or what we're doing now could be history in a few years to come. So.
Did you feel that yourself?
Well, I think so, yeah, basically.
The morale is pretty good.
Most of them will lose their jobs now.
Indeed they will.
And you as well, would you?
Well, we'll have to do something else, yes.
What will you do?
Well, I don't know. The question of the engineering work somewhere else. There's a lot going on.
Would you like to build another tunnel?
Well, I don't know about that.
Or would you like to build a tunnel?
I'd like to build this one.
If he can't, then Hamish Smith and his men will join countless generations of other engineers who also dreamed of tunnelling their way to France. And here on the same site, there are relics to remind us of them. In the 1880s, an army engineer, Colonel Beaumont, started his tunnel. And his Victorian builders reached the bottom by bucket, and that's exactly how you get to it today. And how ironic that our 1975 tunnellers should have started from the same point. Well, this is Beaumont's tunnel, and you can still see the original Victorian structure. He actually got 1.5 miles under the sea, and if all goes well, the present tunnellers are hoping to intersect his with theirs. What killed off Beaumont's tunnel was government policy, because Disraeli's government ordered him to stop in 1884 due to public fear of an invasion from France. Ironically, he used a mechanical mole as well for his tunnelling, and that's believed to have been abandoned at the face of this tunnel up there. That'll mean, of course, that there'll be 2 moles under the ground if the present project is killed for good. The mole of the 1880s and the mole of 1975. And perhaps in the future, a new generation of British tunnellers might discover them both, if the Channel Tunnel is to be built at all.